I knew that there were people that actually swam through the ocean around the fence. There's a film that highly influenced me as a teenager by Andrei Tarkovsky called Nostalgia. I know it's influenced a lot of people, but there's a scene in that movie that I love. The main character basically imposes a goal that is to cross through an empty swimming pool holding a candle. This man his goal was to cross this pool. And why? As an act of faith. And I just felt that maybe crossing the border, and not necessarily between San Diego and Tijuana, but through a river with a torch or with some kind of light and make it all the way through as an act of faith was one of the first ideas that came to mind. Prior to when I decided what the work was going to be, maybe a month earlier, I got mugged in a cab, and I pretty much felt somewhat traumatized, and I didn't want to take cabs. And somehow I knew I had to make it to San Diego. I knew I had to make an art piece. So I thought that the best work I could do would be to get out to the street and take a cab, a taxi from Mexico City to San Diego, and have that be the piece in itself. I lived in a sketchy neighborhood, so I got out, and the next day around 9 p.m. a guy said, yeah, sure, I'll take you to San Diego. And he was perplexed, and he was like, you're gonna pay for everything, the gas, the hotels, everything? And I said, yes, you just drop me off in San Diego and then you come back. And that's the piece that I ended up with. To tell you the truth, the act of taking the cab was very spontaneous. And yes, sharing so many hours in such a confined space with a stranger was a difficult experience. I mean, because we were sleeping in the same room and sharing meals, and he was like, hey, take me out for drinks. So we went out for drinks. And we went to all these bars, we stayed at these very cheap hotels. And I remember thinking if I should document this or not, but I somehow felt that it was something that I wanted to keep private between me and him. And I did bring my 35mm camera, and I took a lot of photographs. I remember that I used the cab of each place we went to sort of as a marker of leaving one territory and entering another one. The cab, the color schemes of the cabs. I recall at first there was a sense of partnership. He was very excited, and I was too. And in the end, I think my work is a lot about creating communication, and learning about other people. And somehow I feel that there's a successful part of the piece regarding that, because, there certainly was a connection. And there certainly was a feeling of getting out of Mexico City coming from both of us, and that somehow did unite us. And I guess somehow it goes back to the act of faith, that I was telling you about, of crossing the border with a candle or with a torch. It was an act of faith. This was also not pre-planned. that the taxímetro, as they say in Spanish, the meter in English, became kind of a measure of this trip, you know, because he kept it running and I could see how much money was being charged through this thing, and I was supposed to pay him for that. I remember he gave me the meter, and I installed the meter at the show and kept it running throughout the whole show. The guy in the end did follow through and did take me, and we went all the way. And I did feel a sense of it. There was a sense of melancholy when he drove back. It just, there was, I felt something strange, something like I had to let go of something, even though we were pretty fed up with each other, you know. And but somehow I've never seen him again. And yeah, he drove back and he gave me the meter of the car. I mean, yeah, I'm very fortunate to have made it my job to relate to people, you know. The interacting with people is basically my job.